Hey everybody, welcome to On the Homefront. I'm John Murphy. I hope you figured out our show by now. We're live on WILI in Willimantic on the AM and the FM. We're also on Fridays on WICH, our sister station in Norwich, New London. And also we're on WECS, public radio station at Eastern Connecticut State University. Also, we're on Public Access Channel 192 at Spectrum. So we're very happy to be with you however you're getting us. And if you have a story to share, if you have information that you want to get out, just let us know. We'll make room for you right here in the studio. John@humanartsmedia.com is the email. The doors are open. Today we're going to have a heavy arts focus for the week. We're going to finish off the show looking at original student theater at Eastern. On November 1st, they have a play coming up called The Last American Jackrabbit. An original student playwright, and the director will be here today later in the show. And I'm very happy to begin with the Cultural Coalition serving Southeastern and Northeastern Connecticut. They are regular guests. They are our regional service organization. And for many weeks now, I should say a few months, I've had Kia Baird with us in the house. She's the Outreach and Impact Coordinator. Welcome back, Kia.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you here. And today is a little surprise for me. Liz Bologna is here, and up until today, she has been the executive director at Arts Center East in Vernon, doing a great job up there in that part of the state. And now she has yet a second hat directly tied to Kia, and you're covering the Northeast region.
I am covering the Northeast region.
Exactly. So we're going to give you an update on how you can get all this information throughout the year through these two folks, North or South. And throughout the year, we'll have them back once in a while with updates. So thanks to both of you for being here on the big opening. You just started a few weeks ago.
Yes, I just started.
It's a real good time to have the coalition on the air.
We appreciate it.
You bet. So, Kia, you had like a few key points that you wanted to cover today. Maybe we can start with some grant opportunities. That's always a good way.
Sure.
Right.
So one of the great things about the Cultural Coalition and the work that we do is that we share out information that comes into us, whether they be national grants, state grants, or even like local sponsorships and foundation grants and things like that.
Right.
So as you mentioned, we are the regional service organization for the eastern part of the state. So that means that we work with the Connecticut Office of the Arts, right. And sometimes we can share out some of the things that they have. And also CT Humanities, who partners with Connecticut Office of the Arts often. And November, they have a November 1st deadline for two of their grants. For the planning grants and the capacity grants, which organizations usually are looking for if you have museums or small organizations that are looking to begin a project or start a new project. And sometimes grants don't fund the thought process part of that, right?
So it can take a lot of time to do it right.
It takes time, right? You don't magically have an idea and it's all planned out and written out and things. So so they are looking to plan to fund planning grants, which is great. But they also have their quick grants. So the quick grants are grants for programs or projects that are up to $5,000. And it's funny, they say that the grant funding is quick. The application is not necessarily quick. So don't let the name fool you. It is still a full application that people have to submit. But if you do have a small project that is based in humanities, then CT Humanities is a great resource for that.
You know, here in the Northeast, a lot of our artists are spread out. It's a pretty big area, a lot of small towns. And the whole idea of a grant can be really intimidating. And even if you don't get it, you've done the process to get better. Mm-hmm. So even a failed application, quote unquote failed, means maybe you can take it somewhere else or just make it better. And I'm sure you hear that from people that put their heart and soul, but they're just not ready yet. Yeah. Maybe they're overstretching or something. Right. And you have to be tactful so they keep at it.
Absolutely. And one of the other things that, is a feather in the Cultural Coalition's cap is the funding booster program. And as I'm sure I mentioned on the show before, folks that are members of the coalition, and membership just means you signed up for a newsletter.
Which you should do.
Yes, you should do. Culturesect.org. folks that are members can meet with our funding booster coordinator and go over those grant ideas. To your point, a lot of folks have never written a grant before, and it's intimidating, or they've written grants and never won grants, right? So working with the funding booster program, you can flesh out some of the ideas you have. You can tweak some of the old applications maybe that you have, and also you can learn about what funders are looking for, right? So sometimes you might have a great idea, a great program, but you're shopping it to the wrong person or the wrong group, right?
That's true. Every source has their agenda or their priorities.
Exactly. Yeah. So helping you to align with those funders and what their priorities are and what their priorities are for the year, because sometimes they change from time to time.
Yeah. And sometimes those planning grants are actually stepping stones that until you have that stuff ready, it's hard to get the money anyway, even if you go for the ask. So the planning may seem slower, but this way you're better prepared and a stronger candidate when you think you're ready to ask for the money. Now you've got something to show for it.
And one of the things that CT Humanities does that some foundations will do as well is they'll have you call and talk to a staff person or email and talk to a staff person before you even get to start writing on the grant to say, okay, maybe if you frame it this way, you might be more likely to get funded.
That's excellent.
So I know our local foundation is like that. They very much will sit and talk with you first before you start the writing process. Right. But the same thing with CT Humanities. If you reach out to grants at CT Humanities, and you can tell them about what your project is so that they can help you prepare for the application.
Right.
Having done that, it's very helpful.
It is.
They're very responsive and they're really eager to help, which is really nice.
Well, congratulations, Liz, on this new opportunity to connect your work in Vernon with the larger region. So, and it's only been a month, but maybe give us a picture of what your initial thoughts are for what you'd like to do in the Northeast region overall, the big picture.
Oh, I mean, the big picture, it's so hard, right? But big picture is I'd like to, connect folks a little bit more. Because like you said, we are very spread out here. There's a lot of sort of artists working in their own sort of forest homes and their forest studio. And it's beautiful, but you get disconnected from what else is happening. So part of what I'm doing is really just trying to get to know folks in the area. So get to know who the people are, get to know who the organizations are. I'm trying to visit as many in person as I can because I can't do another Zoom meeting. I just can't.
Oh, I know. People are pretty burned out. They're very convenient when you need them.
Sure.
But as a lifestyle, it's
But if it means I have to drive an hour out to Danielson, I'm happy to do it. And it's a beautiful time of year to make that drive. So it's been a really nice introduction sort of period to the region. It's been a delight to see who's out here.
Right. So, this is one way that if you are part of an arts guild maybe or an arts council, you struggle to keep members and to recruit new members. And if you have an art show, you need to get the word out. And the coalition can offer you ways to list your event. If you sign up, you can get newsletters to be informed of everything you might miss otherwise. And these opportunities that they're talking about today, they're always on the website to follow up. So now let's do a quick connection to the work that you've been doing for years in Vernon, because I've had you on many times with Arts Center East, right?
True.
And you have a big thing about barns and bridges going on now. That looks really interesting.
Yes, we just opened our New England Bridges and Barns exhibit, which I have to give a shout out to some of our sponsors, which this time include Connecticut Landmarks and Preservation Connecticut, which is great because they work with these historic properties all the time. Connecticut Landmarks obviously owns and maintains a lot of them, and Preservation Connecticut helps people maintain these properties. And in particular, Strong Family Farm, who's right around the corner from the Art Center, we have two pieces that feature their yellow barn in the exhibit. And I know Preservation Connecticut has done a lot to help them with their buildings and with the land there as well. But and it's like a perfect, it's very nostalgic kind of time of year to really romance New England. So it's a really lovely exhibit this time of year. And of course, I'm personally delighted because we just opened on Saturday. We've already sold 2 of the pieces. And when you buy artwork at Art Center East, 80% of that goes right back to the artist. We're not taking a huge commission on art sales. It goes to the artist.
Show me the money.
Yes.
I got to take care of my business too.
And we want to keep artists in business. As much as we want to stay in business, we want to keep the artists in business as well. And of course, that goes hand in hand with our annual holiday fair, which comes up next month.
That's right.
Again, enormous craft fair, which features a lot of artists from the Northeast region, as well as sort of the central Connecticut. But again, when you purchase any kind of art from Art Center East, 80% of that is going right back to the artist.
Yep. See, the nice thing for all the holiday things in terms of any celebrations is you're keeping money local. It's not going to some foreign office or someplace elsewhere. And that's the multiplier effect that the arts economy is showing real numbers. When you add up all these little purchases, that's a lot of money in the state. ArtCenterEast.org is the website to follow up on the things that Liz just talked about. And they have 10 days for this craft fair in Vernon on 709 Hartford Turnpike. Are there any other major things happening? These are huge, but anything else you want to mention in terms of any classes?
Oh, I always want to mention classes.
Yeah, because you do a lot.
We do, and
do a lot.
we're branching out into some new mediums as well. So we have a metal bracelet making class coming up in December, which basically you get to make like a metal cuff bracelet. You can engrave it. It's very exciting.
It's very gothic.
It's a little gothic, but it's one of those things where, like, if you were to make this in your own home studio, it's extremely expensive to have this kind of equipment. So instead, you can try it out at the Art Center at a very reduced price as to what it would be to do it on your own. And we have we have an acrylic class coming up where you can paint a vintage Santa, which is very of the season.
Very timely.
We're going to have some more fiber arts classes coming up early in January. And, we're looking for more teachers as well. If artists are listening and are interested in teaching, I've been talking to some folks about scratchboard classes, acrylic pour classes. So
nice.
we're trying to do everything, not just the drawing and the traditional painting, but a little more unusual. Oh, and I just talked to a stained glass artist. Sorry. I talked to a stained glass artist as well, which I'm really, really excited. She does this very accessible stained glass class where you can sort of make, I think right now it's sort of pumpkins and that kind of thing that you can hang in your window.
Sure.
But I'm talking with her about having a class in December, which I'm very excited about.
Right. So these are many things. And, in our region, if you go an hour either way, you're pretty much everywhere. So it's closer than you think, actually. It's like people from Hartford will never come out here. But for us, going to Hartford is nothing, right? But get them to come east, it's got to be a freak show to get them out here.
But it's a beautiful drive.
I know. I'm not being too cynical now.
They love it once they're here. Once they
It's
get
true.
here.
Yeah, it is true. Once they get used to us, All righty, so we're going to take a short break and come back and talk some more. There's more things to cover. There's assets for artists that Kia wanted to talk about, and America 250, a big celebration. And then we're going to talk about student theater at Eastern, so don't go away. All righty, you're back on the home front. I want to thank you again for joining us on WICH, WILI, or WECS. And again, if you want to get involved, if you have stories that you want to get out, please contact us here. Email is john@humanartsmedia.com, and we can arrange that any Wednesday. We're continuing our conversation with Kia Baird and Liz Bologna from the Cultural Coalition, and there's still some more events that the Kia wants to talk about, and one of them has to do with special training programs. So take it away.
Sure. I think we mentioned before, well, definitely before the break, we talked about assets for artists, and and in addition to making sure that artists and arts organizations, museums and things have funding, we also want to make sure that we help with professional development for artists. And Assets for Artists has been just a rich resource in that. And also sometimes their trainings are for folks in Massachusetts or Rhode Island, but here lately they've been making sure that all of them are include Connecticut artists as well.
People are happy about that too.
Yeah.
For a while it was a border issue.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's a funding thing, but But to Liz's point about Zoom, I think Zoom has allowed them to be able to offer more trainings to more people in more states. So the next two that they have coming up, what's today's date?
16th.
Okay, yes. Portfolio Power and the Artist Portfolio, which we know a lot of times artists are trying to decide what they want to show in commercial galleries, what they want to show, and what they want to sell, and what they want to keep. So that's on October 21st from 12 to 2 on Portfolio Power. And again, and then this is for writers, on the 29th, submitting to literary markets and magazines, which is, again, I could imagine tough if you are starting as a writer, or trying to get your work out, and where do you submit, where do you publish, those kinds of things. So
it's overwhelming until you get used to it.
I bet. Yeah. So 2 really cool trainings that are available to folks, and these things are on our website. You don't have to memorize them; they are on our website. That's right. But training opportunities for folks to, as Liz mentioned, see themselves as a business and get the tools that they need to be successful.
So the website that Key is talking about is assetsforartists.org. I have Molly Rideout on a few times each year. She's from the program, and she talked about all these workshops last month. They go through the end of the year, and there's taxes, things about crowdfunding, all the business aspects of running a gallery, and then personal development. It's an amazing program. They're free. You just got to sign up in advance. Sometimes space is limited, right?
Correct.
So they have to be careful about how many they can fit in. So assetsforartists.org is a great resource. Really nice.
Thank you.
I was like, I should write that one down too.
All right. Sure. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention is very, it's exciting. It's still kind of early. And the Cultural Coalition itself is trying to decide where we kind of fit in as a resource for folks. But in 2026, we will celebrate the, what is it? The
250th?
250, what is that? Buy something, telling you.
Or the like sesquicentennial.
Yeah, that.
250th
anniversary birthday of our country. And, they're calling it America 250. And we have been attending some of the planning sessions and things like that as just a way to be a resource for folks. And the reason that I am so excited about it and want people to really begin thinking about it, whether they be individual artists or organizations, is that the hope and the theme is not really just to be thinking about America in the past 250 years, but what we hope America to be in the coming 250 years. I know a lot of times communities can hear like, oh, American history, and think a very specific type of history, and we want folks who are planning to do something to know that we really are hoping for diverse stories that folks haven't heard, stories from communities that are often not heard from.
Undocumented things.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Like looking for new stories. I know it's new history, but it's kind of and just representing America in its fullest, right? And a really full, clear picture about what America is as we celebrate this 250th birthday.
Yeah. A word that I like to use that's a little sensitive to the issues that Key is touching on is just incomplete. Mm-hmm. You're incomplete.
Yes.
I'm not saying that you haven't got it, but you ain't got all of it.
Yes.
And until you get it all, the story's not done.
Exactly.
That's the problem. It's an opportunity, not a problem.
Exactly. And that's the hope, that we can have a more complete picture, a more complete history, so that when we do celebrate the 250th, everyone feels included in that. So America 250, if people are Googling it, and especially for organizations in towns, to decide what they want to do. How do they want to celebrate?
It's only 2 years.
I know,
fast.
And also you can do, some organizations are planning to do the whole year, like celebrate the whole year or up to, the 4th of July. So, now's the time to start thinking about it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to thank you both for coming up from Vernon and from Norwich to be here on our schedule, and we'll keep having them back throughout the year with new information and updates. Let me ask you one last thing. Is there anything else that you wanted to cover? ArtCenterEast.org is how you can reach Liz. Her other aspect of this, and Kia Baird, is at culturesect.org. Last thought before we go.
I, of course, want to plug our annual photography exhibit.
Take it away.
We just opened it for submissions. It is by far one of our most popular exhibits for both artists and art appreciators. So, yes, if you want to submit your artwork, digital photography, yes, it can be photoshopped. It can be manipulated in many ways.
Okay.
We also accept film photography. It really all subjects.
So like different categories.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yep.
So a digital would be with digital, so to speak. Okay.
And we're running a student exhibit this year. So along with the normal 18 and over exhibit, any artists 18 and younger are welcome to submit their artwork, and it will be shown in our Eureka Gallery on the ground floor. And the winning piece of that exhibit will be put upstairs in the gallery with the more seasoned photographers.
That's sweet.
I'm very excited about that.
Kids have phones. That's all they need these days.
Honestly, we get a lot of phone photography that gets in the exhibit. You never know.
It's amazing what the lenses will do, yeah.
And I know you all took beautiful pictures of the Northern Lights, and I want to see them.
Yes.
Except for me, because somehow I missed it. I don't know how.
It was such a short window this time.
All right. Well, Liz and Kia, thanks again.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, John.
This is great.
All right. Well, we're doing the show right now just before the elections. Things are crazy, and all the talk, among other things, politics is money. What's money all about for the campaigns? There's a song from Randy Newman I'm going to share as a little break, and then we're going to talk about student theater at Eastern. This from Randy Newman. It came out a number of years ago, but it still rings true in 2024. Check it out. I'll let you figure out the title.
I don't love the sea. I don't love Jesus. He never done a thing for me. I ain't pretty like my sister, smart like my dad, but good like my mama. Yes, money that I love. Yes, money that I love. They say that money can't buy love in this world. You get your half-pound of coke and a 16-year-old girl in a great big long limousine on a hot September night. Now that may not be love, but it is alright. 1, 2. Yes, money that I love. Kiss you, 3, 4. Yes, money that I love. Used to worry about the poor, but I don't worry anymore. Used to worry about the black man, now I don't worry about the black man. Used to worry about the starving children of India. You know what I say now about the starving children of India? I say, oh, mama. Yes, money that I love. Yes, money that I love.
I hope you like that one. Randy Newman, huh? It's money that I love. The lyrics say the story. Well, this is on the Homefront, and I'm very happy to bring the focus to Eastern Connecticut State University. I've been very happy to cover their arts program over the last several years after the FAIC, the Fine Arts Instructional Center, opened. It revolutionized the curriculum at Eastern. It enabled new technology to be brought into many classes for students to really get into technology that they'll encounter in the field today for theater and dance. So it's been great. And the reason why we have these two folks here today is that they're also enabling original student productions. And there's a special performance on November 1st. You want to jot that down. November 1st, one night only at 7:30, The Last American Jackrabbit. It's the first full-length original play from Kane Waggoner, who is to my right. He is just about to finish his time at Eastern. He's been involved with writing for quite a while, so we're going to talk to him about that side of the play. And sitting next to me is Xsyanni Jackson. She is the director. She's also involved with acting, and she's about to graduate this year and move into the theater after Eastern. So thank you both for being here today. I'm really happy to see you here to share your good work.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So maybe you could just share a thought before we get into the details of what it's like to be finishing your time here after Eastern has had all these investments and you have all these new assets that are still brand new pretty much.
Okay.
So what's it been like?
It's interesting. I know life outside of this is going to be different. Theater on a collegiate level, it's different from theater outside.
Sure.
So I'm going to have to adjust to that, but I think I'm decently prepared for what I have to go through.
So when you work with directing this play, how are you applying some of your training, and perhaps including your sensitivity to what the actors are going through?
Yeah.
As a director, that's a yin-yang of its own, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think acting a lot and taking a lot of the acting courses in theater, as well as the directing courses, have really influenced how I direct, because I kind of look at it more from an actor standpoint. I know what the actors are feeling, and I kind of know how to help them out so they can do what they need to do. And I also have a lot of trust in my actors. I have a pretty good cast. So yeah, I just kind of try to look at it from that perspective, and I think it makes everybody's life easier.
Well, let's bring Kane in now. First of all, congratulations on your first full-length original play.
Thank you.
I know you've done some one-acts before. So what gave you the inspiration for The Last American Jackrabbit? It involves a veteran and a relationship he has. What gave you the inspiration for the play that Xsyanni's trying to realize?
So I wrote this show maybe about a year and a half ago. Over the summer, that might have been 2023, summer of 2023, I wrote that. And I'd done dramaturgical work, but where it came from was an initial 10-minute show that I did for the first KCACTF conference back since COVID. Is that
a theater conference?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yes.
It's the Kennedy.
The lingo. You know?
Yeah.
It's the, for clarification, Kennedy Center of American Theater.
Very nice.
And so, which are at different places every year. And we'll hopefully go there this year with this show submitted. But I'd done that show. I'd written it, and it had stemmed from a short story that I had heard. That was it disturbed me, but in a way that affected me quite viscerally. So I thought that it deserved a little more time than a 10-minute or a one-act sort of presented me with. Right. So I extended it into a full length, and then I got together with Kristen Morgan, who's the current head of the theater department.
Yeah,
and
she's been here many times.
Yeah,
Fabulous.
she's great. And then she sort of helped me navigate how to get a student production done. Obviously, maybe for the past decade, we have not had the opportunity to do student work as readily as we are now.
Sure.
And the person who opened the gateway to that was Liv Skiri, who was the student director for Carrie the Musical last year. And so she was the first one in a while who did that. So once she opened the door for that, Kristen got us through, and I mean, we're here.
Yeah, well, hopefully your success will open the door for an annual thing. If students see this, they'll get the idea, you know.
Hopefully, yeah.
And again, this is November 1st, 7:30 at the Del Monte Theater in the Fine Arts Center. So a question for you that I love to ask artists is the choice of your medium. You work with words and the space between words. What is it about the playwright, the play form, compared to a novelistic approach that draws you to that kind of writing?
Well, I started off in the communication field doing broadcast media. So a lot of what I was doing was still, doing television anchoring and writing for editorial stuff. And I was a writing tutor for a time at Eastern. And
at the Writing Center they
yes,
have? Oh,
yes.
excellent. That's good work. Yeah.
And it was really enjoyable, but once I got into acting in the theater program, I sort of started to realize that there were stories being told and people who were not being adequately included in shows that the university faculty were choosing to produce and put on. So I just thought, why not do it with other students who have like-minded goals, and sort of set people up to have almost professional level contracts before they go into the working field,
right,
to have on a resume. And that's very important from an acting perspective for people who really are just struggling to pay to live and get by in college, to get work as a performer or as a technician especially. So,
well, you know, I mean, after you graduate, the diploma is a phenomenal human achievement, but it's your portfolio that gets the work.
Oh, yeah.
This gets you in the door to talk to somebody. Then they say, well, what can you do? And this is when you're showing us. So I want to bring Xsyanni back in here now, telling the story with the physical aspects of staging. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about the conversation with Charlie, who wants to join the Army, I believe, and a veteran, and the experiences and their dialogue about joining the Army or not? How did that story come to pass, and how did you connect it with the actors?
So with the actors, I really kind of Charlie in my head is very bouncy. He's young, he's dumb, he's out in the world, and he kind of just lives life and takes everything in moment by moment. So a lot of the actors, I have very few actors that have acted in something before. So
it shows.
Yeah. And so with him, I specifically have to I'm working with an actor who's has acted before, but has always been cast as somebody more stern and put together. So working to kind of break down all those barriers that have formed because he's been playing a certain type of character.
Kind of loosen him up a little bit.
Yeah. So that's been really fun. And then for Ray, who's the veteran, it's the complete opposite. They are just a person who it does well when they're acting still, but in real life they're a lot more flowy and goofy, and it's just well, now we have to put some character into you, make them stern. So that's been really fun, and the dynamic's been working out pretty well.
Well, I don't want to give away any of the endings and the dynamics of the thing, obviously, but 2024, there's a lot of war going on. There's a lot of violence now that's kind of out of control. Is there a special connection to our times that led you to bring this out now to produce compared to other kinds of shows you could have done? Is there any connection, or is that just a coincidence?
Well, I mean, as far as seeking production, I feel like a big problem, not solely centered in the collegiate field, but people settle into this lull of politics, which is it draws people into C, and I think it's a group of people who are looking for like-minded individuals to have a resonant conversation to say, am I crazy? Is this supposed to be this way? But especially with the stuff that's going on in Ukraine and Israel and Palestine.
That's right.
I mean, obviously, it wasn't the focal point of when I was writing it, but it was occurring, but something that did occur to me, which is in relation to the show, which doesn't give too much away, is that Ray is one of the first African American veterans to come out of World War I, and Charlie, obviously, this is set during the early 40s, so Charlie wanted to go into the Marines. This idea that the progress, the change that is occurring even in such a short 20, 30-year span technologically in war. I mean, we've got people killing people virtually now, which is, I mean, you would have said that 50 years ago and people would have looked at you silly.
Science fiction, right?
It's science fiction. It's dystopian, yeah.
It is, true. That's right.
Yeah.
Steampunk all the way out of control. And that's interesting because the African American veterans before Harry Truman, they couldn't vote. They were serving. They lived differently. They lived separately. They ate differently. And it wasn't until, I think, 1949 that Harry Truman desegregated the Army. That's how long it took.
And the GI Bill didn't count for many of them.
No, that's right. They didn't get the housing deals.
Nope.
It was a step, but it was incomplete, put it that way.
Yep.
So for the young guy, do you think Charlie is drawn to the Army for the usual youthful fantasies, or is there a way that the Army is going to help me to find a center for my life, to be structured, to give me a few years to figure out the rest of my life? And some people use service to do that.
Well, as far as giving sort of a dramaturgical background to Charlie, he's sort of purposely written in to have a very not shallow past, but an unexplained past. Not to the point where he is a mysterious character, but so that someone like Cy could walk into a show that, you know, if they've never directed before, and really take the character to any choice they would want, especially with a performer who also hasn't really acted that much or is not refined. So I do think in this direction, I haven't seen any of the full run-throughs yet of the show. I'm not too involved in the rehearsal process besides set design. But I definitely think that Charlie can be adequately taken into a point where he is naive about what he wants out of war, and once he gets to that point is where the human experience kicks in. And
education begins, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hard schooling.
Well, I want to close this so Cy can talk about the directing job, about the use of music, lighting, sound, projection. What would people be seeing in this space if I close my eyes?
So it's very bare bones, and I like it that way. Our department is known for these whimsical projections and super elaborate set designs. But before we even started, we kind of talked about having it kind of not basic, but on the more bare side, because it just gives it a more raw feeling.
Is that why you did the black box?
Yeah.
Maybe you could explain to folks, because that's a whole aesthetic. Black box is a style. The Dionysus Theater up in Enfield was here recently. They do black box. So can you explain what that is? It's a very different theater.
Yeah, so there's a couple types of theaters. At Eastern, we specifically use the proscenium a lot, which is your traditional standard theater. You're sitting in front of the stage and only looking at it from one perspective, which can also happen in a black box. But in a black box, you're more immersed into the performance. It's
you're closer.
Yeah,
right?
You're literally in a black box. It's a room, dark walls, and you're closer, and you're not looking up or down at a stage. You're like right there. The stage is right there. And then specifically for this setup, we have chairs on 3 sides, which is called a thrust. So there's going to be seating on 3 sides, so you're really immersed in it.
You're kind of in the family of that scene.
Yes,
so to
exactly.
Speak, right? You're there. Nice. Well, this sounds really great, and I'm glad you're here today to share the story, just so you can see the resources at Eastern and what students are doing with them to help them on their own personal path, as well as give us a great evening of entertainment on November 1st at 7:30 on the campus of Eastern at the Del Monte Theater. I want to thank Xsyanni Jackson for being here and Kane Waggoner. Thanks. I wish you the very best of success for the show.
Thank you.
And your good work. And I want to jot down, too, there's an address you can go to for any Eastern performance for the shows they're doing. easternct.edu is the usual address. Then you do a / showware, SHOWARE, showware.com. That takes you to their site, Showware. That's their ticketing service, and you can find the different shows. And again, it's November 1st. So thanks to all of you for being here.
Thank you.
And we'll hopefully see you then. Okay, we're going to take a short break for one message, and then I have some news and an update on the program. Don't go away. We'll be right back. All righty, we're back on the show, and I have the luxury of time this week. I have a few minutes to talk to you with some news and events and a program update. You know, this show is evolving. It's still cooking every week. We're expanding to 3 radio stations. The conversations that we do are posted on YouTube, so our guests can use these stories to help promote their own good work. We're trying to work on fundraising for this series as well. But I have some events I want to share with you. Another Eastern thing is coming up this week. It's the Ocoee Project. It's a multimedia event that explores the events of the 1920 massacre in Florida through music, poetry, film, and live performances. After the passage of the 19th Amendment, white residents in that area violently attacked the black community in Ocoee, Florida, murdering more than 50 people to suppress them from voting. 1920, they chased the surviving black residents out of town and seized their land. It was lost history. Dan Donahue was here in the house, I think 2 weeks ago, with Brian Day and Kristen Morgan talking about their staging of this incredible play from October 15th. It started yesterday, goes through October 20th. So go to the Eastern site, check out that story. It should be an amazing piece of history. I wanted to mention that right away. Also, I'm very happy to talk about Phoebe Godfrey. I've had Phoebe on the show many times over the year, and she's had a personal milestone. The good work that she's done with Tina over the years at Click is now a book called Understanding Just Sustainabilities from Within, a case study of shared use commercial kitchens in Connecticut. That's what Click is. It's a shared commercially licensed kitchen. It's a wonderful success story that's grown many businesses. It's gotten a major grant to upgrade its facilities. And this event is coming up on tomorrow, Thursday, October 17th at Click. Phoebe's going to be there for a special ceremony and a book presentation. So if you've ever been to Click, this is a chance for you to tip the hat to Phoebe for all of her good work on this book and everybody else involved. 41 Club Road in Willimantic at 4:30. That's tomorrow, the 17th at Click. Congratulations, Phoebe, on this great work. We got 2 minutes to go. A couple of more things. Here in Willimantic, Nightmare on Main goes on. It's running through the 18th and the 19th. Unsettling Tales, Legend, Myth, and Folklore. And it's at the Eastern Connecticut Veterans Community Center on Crescent Street. It's 7 to 9:40 p.m. on the 18th and the 19th. Lots of stories. If you want to find out more, go to spooktober.org, and you'll get tickets for that. Thank you, Bev York, for your wonderful work in that way. What else do we have? Quickly, about a minute to go. 1 minute to go. Bread Box again on the 20th. Hugh Blumenfeld with Faithful Sky and Mad Agnes, 4 o'clock. At St. Paul's Church, a great fundraiser for the Bread Box program, feeding people in our area. If you want to go there, eventbrite.com, breadboxfolk.org is the website for Bruce John and Therese and everybody helping to feed people. Again, that's this Sunday, Hugh Blumenfeld. It should be a great show, 4 o'clock. So that's my time for this week. Thanks for sharing some of your time with us. We'll see you next week.